Something else we've been discussing recently on the MacCast was the iCloud Family Photo Library, a new feature that's coming to iCloud that allows families, members in an iCloud family account, to share a single photo library. And we were talking about that and some of the maybe advantages or disadvantages. We had a conversation about what constitutes a family, because right now you can have up to 6 people in your family, and a few folks have said, well, what if I want more extended family to share in my album? Not really possible right now. I had brought up some of my concerns about what happens with editing and deleting items. Really, the library is shared, truly shared, and anybody can kind of make changes or updates to it, and those are synced out to the entire family. So we were talking about all those sorts of things, and then Marty wrote in just with a comment. He said, seems like Apple and the public are moving backwards on this one. Didn't the old Mobile Me structure allow for shared album links? Create an album and share the link with a zillion people, no limits, no family restrictions, and no worries about accidental deletions from others. Others could even upload to it, as I recall. Seems like this would be better than agonizing over complex family relationships. Doesn't this shared folder library still exist? And yes, it absolutely does. The concept of shared iCloud albums still exist, but this new family library is a little bit different. So I thought, because it is a little bit confusing, it might make sense to talk about some of the differences. So the new iCloud family library is just that. It's a single new library of photos that all family members share. So it's like the single bucket, the single photo library. So you think of photos today, right? You have a single photo library. Now we're just adding a new photo library that's separate from your main library, but it's your family library. And anything you put into your family's library gets shared out with everyone in your family, and vice versa if they put something in there. But it does function purely as a whole library. So if someone creates an album in that library, you're going to see those albums. If somebody makes a photo edit in that library, you're going to see those photo edits. If someone deletes a photo from that library, it's going to get deleted from your copy of that library. So it literally is a shared repository of photos. And you have to kind of think about it that way. Now, the iCloud shared album feature is just that. It is a single album that you can share with a bunch of people you invite to it. And you can share different albums with different people, and you can have them set up for different reasons. But each one of those albums is just a view of those photos. And anything that you put in there, yes, with permissions, they can post to that album, but you don't have the ability to edit any of those items in the album. You can't delete items from that album. You can just kind of put them in there. And unless you download a copy of those files, you can't really edit them. I believe whoever set up the album, if it's this shared album, does have the ability to delete photos, but you have to kind of be the owner of that album. And yes, members can also comment and like photos in there. So it has some really, really nice features, but it's definitely different than a shared library. So I just wanted to point out that distinction. Now, if you want to use shared albums, I think they're great and probably an underutilized feature in Photos. They're really easy to create. You just open up the Photos app. You can select the images you want to share, just like creating a normal album, but you go under the File menu, you choose Share, and then select Shared Albums. You can also do it from the Share button in the menu bar, and then you choose New Shared Album, and then you give it a name, and you invite the people you want to share in that album, and then once it's created, it will appear in the Shared Albums in your sidebar. And then if you want to add more people, or you want to set up permissions or change permissions on that album, you can do that by selecting the album and then clicking on the little person icon in the menu bar at the top, and then it'll give you some options. So you can add or remove people from the shared album. You can turn on notifications so that if someone likes a photo or posts a photo, you can get notified about that. And you can also set up the album on a public website, which will create an iCloud link to that album. It'll upload those photos to iCloud and make them available via the web. So if you have someone who doesn't have a Mac or is on a different platform, you could share out that link and they could still participate in it. So it is a public link, so you need to be aware of that. It's security by obscurity, so you have to actually have the link, and it has a hash in it, so it'd be pretty hard to guess what the links are, but it is out there publicly, so just be aware of that if you're using that feature. But yeah, it's a really cool feature of albums, but definitely something different than this new shared library.